Hello, Goldma viewers. Welcome back to Goldma Conversations. It is very good to be in front of you. Today, we are a trio. Our CEO has some business to take care of, but we promise that the discussion will be as heated as always.
Yeah.
So today, I found an article that says the cryptocurrency job market is exploding. So before we go anywhere, based on the title, agree or disagree? Let me guess, yes and no.
I haven't read the numbers, so I can't comment on that one.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree because I'm actually employed in the cryptocurrency sector, and as far as I'm concerned with the rate in which ICOs and new coins and new tokens are coming up, it means there's someone who's developing it, there's someone who's doing this, there's someone who's marketing it, YouTube, you name it. So I would say in the cryptocurrency space, yes. And not in there for now.
Okay. I would say, okay, I don't want to be the yes and no guy, but I want to say yes and no. In the sense that in as much as there's an exponential growth in the cryptocurrency job market sector, in the cryptocurrency sector, it's also depleting jobs in the formal sector, because some of the business models within the cryptocurrency universe are doing away with traditional financial systems and institutions. Yeah. But here's how I look at it. I think it's more of redefining the job market, because we have people that are full-time cryptocurrency miners, right?
All right.
Which means most of them work for themselves. They don't have to apply to a company and then, go through the rigorous process of recruitment and, have all these benefits, but then at the same time be under the restrictions of working under someone. But on the other side of the coin, someone that was supposed to be working at a bank can no longer work at a bank, because a significant number of people are withdrawing from storing their value in fiat currency to trading cryptocurrency.
It's a good point.
So it's like it's a give and take situation, which is not bad. I mean, this is the world that we live in. It has to be dynamic. It has to keep changing and moving. Otherwise, if it stays the same, then it stops growing.
Yeah. But a lot of this stuff will actually bear out over time. I think it's still too early. I know we're over 10 years, or right around 10 years with Bitcoin, but I think we're still young. We still have quite a lot of things to do, quite a lot of questions to answer for us to see this dramatic impact on the job market and the economy as a whole, in the finance sector as a whole. There's still time.
Okay, I want to read something here. It says between December 2016 and December 2017, there was a 207% increase in job postings for blockchain positions on Indeed.com. This is a very good piece of information, because it tells us that within the formal employment sector, there are many jobs within that are being offered for cryptocurrency skills.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into it. I know people say, well, we can't all mine cryptocurrency and we can't all do all this technical stuff, but it's not necessarily the technical stuff. Like, for example, here we have someone that does the visuals for us, that shoots the videos for us.
Yeah.
That's another, facet of it. We have content writers. We have people that do artwork, visuals for us. We have networking people. We have, different things that come together to make the machine run smoothly.
Yeah.
So in a way, it actually might broaden the spectrum of employment, as opposed to the traditional jobs that we've always known for centuries.
Yeah, my question would be for that is, all right, that sounds all good, said and done. It is creating jobs as far as the cryptocurrency sphere is concerned. But if what I think, if this industry stays the way it is, as in against centralization, and in all forms, because I feel centralization is good in different forms. There are forms of centralization that are bad, then forms that are good, right? I'll give for an example. If in the banks, someone went to school for 4 years in varsity for that bank job, and they're trained in the centralized aspect of things. Someone did whatever it is they did, which is not related to cryptocurrency. If the sphere does not adjust to incorporate some centralized situations, like, for example, how are we going to, if let's say Bitcoin becomes the replaces fiat in the future, just hypothetically speaking, you know, how would we pay taxes? How would we maintain a civil state when everybody is decentralized and we're swapping peer to peer, we're just agreeing on our own market adoption? And how would we then, you know, run state in that instance? How would it work? Maybe Mr. Economics can help me out there.
I can't answer exactly how, but I believe in government's ability to find their way in your pocket.
That's a good one.
They've always done so for millennia. So I think there's a way to do it, and it is a very big assumption that you made about Bitcoin, coming out on top. But even if we do that, I'm pretty sure that there's a way to monitor transactions between wallets. It's public after all, isn't it? So, you know, it's just a different form of taxation that will come up. And perhaps it could be a tax on transactions. So, like what happens with mobile money here in this country is when you make a transfer to someone, the transaction shows up, and obviously the service provider takes a cut. That could just be built right in to sort of say that we've seen that there's transaction between these two wallets, and the jurisdiction they fall under is in our country, so we have a 0.05% tax on each transaction. So basically it's taxation in the 21st century. It sort of changes to sort of suit the reality at the time.
Okay, is it possible that, you know, the way central banks and governments are amassing gold and assets and wealth, is it possible that in a situation like that they will release their own electronic money or crypto that is backed?
They do, but the problem is it's very difficult to do that and still maintain the element of decentralization. I think the only good thing that will come out of it is transparency. But if you look at Venezuela, for example, the petrol, the problem with it is it's pre-mined. So that means the government has total control and there's no trust in that government. Yeah. So it's very difficult for people to say, oh no, this is really working out right now. I don't know if in the future they'll find a way to merge the two concepts of centralization and democratization of wealth and assets. So it's very difficult to ascertain right now. Okay. But we'll keep hoping and fingers crossed for that. I also want to pose a question. We're talking about how the cryptocurrency job sector is booming. Is it necessarily just any cryptocurrency, or it's specifically for asset-backed?
Well, I think if you employ one person or two people, you've done something. That's what I think. What then changes is it long-term? Is it beneficial? Is it lucrative? Does it help the vast public? Because there are a lot of cryptocurrencies that will, for just that short time, even scams employ people to scam people. Then after they're done, they're gone. So when you bring out the point of asset-backed, gold-backed, that's now like a vision. That's like long-term. That's something that can actually grow into something. So in that aspect, for example, don't want to sound like a commercial, but in the GMA cryptocurrency, GMA token, it's not just a token. So it's just going to support the mine, the community, you're employing people that do not work in that sphere, but it's like a subsidiary, if I should say.
Yeah.
And whether it's not mining, whether it's agriculture, whether you're backing by the produce that you're making,
Yeah.
it's just that, so which means it could actually be broader,
Yeah.
whichever way you can take it.
Just to explain why I asked that question, I like your response. The reason why I was asking that is because we have so many concepts that are being offered to people, right? If you buy my token, you can mine it when you exercise. All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Not to knock that idea, by the way. But if you compare that to someone who's saying, I have a hotel, right? And like I heard, according to Kevin O'Leary, he was saying there's a rumor that there's a prestigious hotel that has gotten approval from the SEC to conduct an ICO for a third of their ownership, a third of their shares, at the stake in that hotel. And if you compare that idea, where probably they're going to channel the process that will be from that ICO into expanding the hotel, therefore creating more jobs at the end, which means at the ground of the ICO, at the root of the cryptocurrency, there are more people being employed, as opposed to someone who's saying, you can mine the coins when you exercise. So that's why I'm thinking that maybe digitalized assets might have a better chance of increasing employment as opposed to idea-backed currencies.
Yeah, I'd step in there and sort of say, when we talk about cryptocurrencies, it's so difficult to just make a blanket statement about cryptocurrencies. I think it's important to sort of come back and sort of say, okay, what does each one do? Sort of select it one by one, analyze it one by one, and then you can come up with a fair conclusion. Because the same in any market, some ideas are great, some businesses are great, and at the opposite end of the scale, some ideas are not so useful. Yeah. So that's what's going to ultimately, that's what's going to determine if we're going to get increases in the job market, like long term. Like it is a fact that currently many more people are being hired to do this type of work. Whether that's going to happen for the long term is going to be determined by the soundness of those individual businesses.
Yeah, I totally agree. One thing also that I want to talk about is how cryptocurrency is bringing about new skills, creating a new job specs for people. Yeah, something that I remember we were talking in the morning and you told me that there was a post advertised for a meme specialist.
Yeah.
That was going to earn, how much is it? $40,000?
Yeah, about $48,000 US.
Now imagine that. Yeah. Imagine
that's
that.
Great. That's wow.
And I know for us it's like, it's as easy as just taking a picture and whatever. But there's a lot of creativity that goes into that.
Yeah.
But you see that's a different job that's been created from that.
It's totally changing the game.
Yeah. And you also have people that concentrate solely on social media. And I would love a situation where the educational system actually moves, in harmony with the changing world, with the cryptocurrency universe, like offering cryptocurrency courses, offering people, like fundamental courses on value, like what is real value and how does cryptocurrency come into place, blockchain technology, teach people how to, like I know there are some places that have adapted that sort of style already, like social media marketing courses. But it would be nice to see the rest of the world moving along with those changes.
Yeah, I think it sort of goes along with what I said before about we have to prove ourselves long term, because institutions, especially the education system, takes an incredibly long time to change. I mean, I don't think the education system of any country has caught up to speed with the internet. And that's been around for a very long time,
Yeah.
compared to cryptocurrency. So Yeah, we have to do that. And we have to also educate ourselves. Well, it starts with individual people. Once mass opinion changes enough, then the institutions have to respond. But we sort of have to educate ourselves about money, about what is money, what's the difference between money and currency, and you know, those basic conversations. Once we start doing that, we can begin to change public opinion. Once public opinion changes, the institutions have to follow suit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting piece of information here. The article says, unsurprisingly, the tech-savvy state of California employs nearly 30% of the country's crypto employees. So this shows us that perhaps being tech-savvy is an incentive for people to dive into that space. Like if you're tech-savvy, it's obviously easy for you to comprehend everything that you need to know about how cryptocurrency works. So those are the people that will gravitate towards those kind of jobs, as opposed to, you know, coming from, I don't know, accounting and different, like...
Not to knock the accountants.
Yeah, like...
I mean, Deloitte actually is quite big in the crypto space, right? I mean, with blockchain technology, they're quite... And they're full of accountants. But tech savvy, it does become a point because, look, where we are right now, we're very much in the innovator / early adopter sort of phase. That's the community of people who sort of flocked to this, you know, cryptocurrency. You know, the type of people who anything new comes up, like, hey, let me give it a try. I think largely that's the people, or that's the group of people we're communicating to at the moment. So it is going to take time to filter out to the accountants that you're talking about. If we assume that most accountants are very middle of the bell curve type of people, maybe it's going to take a bit of time. But hey, tech savvy, The other thing as well is, you know, like the way the whole system works sort of favors people with a very technological understanding of life or worldview, if I can call it that. Because, you know, wallets and
True.
You know, the way the whole thing works.
It
so
needs to be
that could
broken
be
down.
That could be a downside to, you know, sorry to play devil's advocate, but to the whole crypto space. The downside is I'm yet to get my stats right on how literate most people are as far as computers, internet, you know, is concerned. I would like to think it's not the majority in the world. I don't have my stats in order, but that's what I think, because it sort of discriminates. If you're going to make it, you cannot be, what's his name, Vitalik, Mr. Ether? If you don't know coding, if you're not well versed in that space, it's very specialized. Same to do with whatever it is that's around it. The only way the rest of the world is going to benefit from crypto is as a subsidiary stream, as in, okay, you guys can benefit because now we want to back our coin with gold. So now you guys can benefit, but the core of it, the inner circle of it, I think it's very discriminatory to those who not tech savvy, like you said. So having said that, I think...
But isn't that just a fact of life? Like, if I'm going to have a bridge built in my community, a brand new bridge, of course I want the best civil engineers. Like, I don't want it to be a free-for-all so that everyone can just come and wake up and think that they can build a bridge. No, I think it's just a fact of life that, you know, life works. This is like fundamental economics, right? Like, we all specialize in whatever we specialize in, and society works more efficiently because we don't have to spend our time doing everything. So there's a core group of people who are very, very good at that, the computer programmers, you know, web designers, the people who perhaps were first to the game. But that's great. Let's harness those skills and get things going. Another benefit that comes up from that is it's an equalizer of sorts. Because great programming skills don't come from having 100-year history in programming.
Yeah.
Some people are very good out of the gate, first generation. So it's an equalizer across the world that, hey, look, this country didn't have this wonderful, history of computer programming, but you get a good enough number of kids who get it. We can actually develop these things, and we can move forward in the future, and we can leapfrog certain stages of development. So I think it's great.
Okay, so one more thing before we move on. Devil's advocate again. Okay, one of the reasons why I would have loved to move away from the current system, the current fiat system that we have, is the whole, I don't really understand how the money is working. I don't really understand how the federal bank is doing whatever it is they're doing. There's so many secrets. It's so closed in. Is it not the same thing with cryptocurrency? Not because someone is closing the information, but because it actually is difficult for people to understand what really is going on, where this money is coming from, what mining is, how the algorithms work. So most people would then just have to accept it because it's taken over, but they actually don't understand how it's working. Is it not the same?
But you could type into Wikipedia and they'll get a very good explanation of that.
Yeah.
You can't get published audited results of any central bank for most people. That doesn't happen.
That's a great point.
And I think the other main factor is like what he's saying, that right now most people that are well versed, about cryptocurrency are people that are early adopters. But because it's not mainstream, a lot of people are yet to understand it, not because they are unable to understand it, but because they just haven't taken the time. There's money, there's still an incumbent that's dominant, so they concentrate on that and they just think, well, there's no need to. But if they're in a situation where they have to, I believe most people will.
And the industry is very young.
Yeah.
Compared to the history that real money has. So with the rate it's growing, I think it has a better chance to make it at the rate it's growing. I get it.
Last point that I want us to discuss is the age factor. That obviously within the crypto job market, you'll find very few people that are over 50 thinking, I'm just going to go and be a meme specialist. Or I want to work in communications and because there are other people that belittle these modern day jobs because they're not, there's no degree that offers you to be a YouTube specialist, So it's like when you say, part of my job is I host a daily show that we publish on YouTube. So they're like, so basically you just do YouTube. To them it's something that's not prestigious. They look down upon, the YouTube aspect of it. So does that mean that most people, can we safely say that most people that are probably taking those opportunities within the cryptocurrency job market are young?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be young, but I feel that's just a reflection of sort of nature. Because let's take a step back from crypto. Let's look at just software development in general. The vast majority of people who were there tended to be young. The innovators of their day were young. I think, Steve Wozniak, Apple, Jobs, Apple. These people were young at that time. Bill Gates was young, when he was developing Microsoft. So I think it's just a reflection that you start off in life and some people take on challenges that are beyond the norm. And, the truth sort of will be, do they make it? Do they not? You're 55. If things were going well, you were probably doing something else with your life for the last 30 years, right? So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just a reflection of how, of nature, how things work.
So without offending anyone, so can we safely say you can't teach an old dog new tricks? No.
Not really. But that's not necessarily true though. Like some people see it and they get it, because some of the people who, we always talk about institutional finance and getting these big pool of funds coming into the crypto market.
Yeah.
The people who control that, you're talking about this is your 50-year-olds. So it's not as if they're going to be completely excommunicated and we have nothing to do with anyone over 50. But it's more about, if we're looking at the innovators as the people driving the mechanics of the crypto space, who drives the mechanics of any space. It's
Yeah.
usually young people,
It's
usually
usually young
20s, 30s. These are the people working on the nuts and bolts of whatever it is that you're making.
Yeah.
Sometimes big power moves, big power players tend to be a little bit older because you need to have time to have amassed the resources to make an impact.
Yeah.
So that's in my mind, that's okay.
I actually think we have a bit of both. You know, we have the older generation that's open-minded and
Yep.
they're willing to adopt new ways of being efficient in any way. You know, like if you look at Facebook, for example, I remember when it started being, you know, the thing, before people realized like Facebook is very lucrative for business. Like it really broadens your customer base. During that time, you had a section of older people that were being resistant, you know, and they didn't want to adopt it, and they just thought it's where, you know, silly young people pose for pictures and that's it. But someone realized, wait a minute, if this young person has 300,000 followers, if I ask this young person, hi, can you advertise my weave? You know, I've reached out to 300,000 people. And out of 300,000 people, most of the time, generally the rule of sales is you have a 3% conversion maybe per 100 people. So maybe out of 100, 3 buy.
Yeah.
And you were not going to get those customers from anywhere. And now you have big, huge corporations opening up Facebook pages, which has led to business pages now. So if I want to find something, I'll go and I'll search on Facebook. But for those that continued to resist, as according to the law of, not the law, but the theory of disruptive innovation or disruptive technology, those that continue to resist face extinction. Either extinction or they just lose out on their market share, you know?
So yeah, so there's an important point to be made about that, right? Something new comes, you look at it, you decide to join or not to join, based on what you know, what you want, and that type of thing. So with Facebook, when it came up, it made sense for an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 25-year-old to be on there. But as it grew, then business executives realized that, as you're saying, that it makes sense. So there's a same sort of movement, or we can draw a parallel in the crypto market, and that is, okay, for now, there's a small group of people for whom it makes sense. As it grows, I'm pretty sure more and more people are going to come to the realization that, hey, hang on a minute, this makes a lot of sense. So we just have to be patient. We're going to get those 60-year-olds and their 70-year-olds. We're going to get them, maybe not now, but this thing is growing. And as I said, we'll get them.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will.
Coming for you. I'm kidding. This has been fun. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go now. And thank you for supporting our shows. We see the views are going up each and every week. You guys are watching Goldman Conversations, which means there is some sort of value that is within it, and we appreciate all of you. Remember to subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Thank you for watching this video if it's your first time. Until next time, bye-bye.